Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Let's talk about moving beyond the past, getting past trauma that we're left with. Typically, one of the reasons why we get stuck on places in the past because of traumas, because of fucked up shit that's happened to us, is because we don't truly understand it. We don't process it properly, so it stands out as kind of a wrinkle in our timeline where something went wrong. A betrayal, a death, getting dumped. You know, there can be all kinds of things that can happen to us that we don't understand, that feel like it comes out of left field, that we don't feel like we deserve, right? You never really feel like you deserve something bad to happen to you. And we can get stuck on it, not process it properly, have a faulty outlook, an outlook that has a negativity attached to it, like a virus attached to an app, and every time you open that app, that virus is still there. So you need to clean those files, you know? One way that we can do that, to clean our files, is through reviewing. You have to go back into it and try to understand it. I woke up one morning with a thought in my head. Sometimes this happens to me and I write it down when I have these, but all day, and I didn't know what it meant. It took me a long time to figure it out, and all day I was thinking, if you want it to end, you have to go back to the beginning. That's what I woke up with this prophetic phrase, and I sat there and thought about this all day. If you want it to end, you have to go back to the beginning. If I want what to end? Beginning of what? What are you talking about? That's how I thought all day long. I was just like confused. But it works in this context of getting past the past, moving on from past trauma. We have to go back through it. People with PTSD don't want to hear this. Sure, EMDR and these types of things can work, and you can try to move through trauma without having to really relive your trauma. But many classical psychiatrists, and Jordan Peterson talks about this if you want some other sources, you have to go back into that experience, that painful experience. Sure, that means relive it. That means to be possibly triggered by it again. And to understand it. So how do we do this? Because, well, to finish that thought, when you understand it, then you can move past it. So how do we do this? There's two ways you can do this practice, but both have the same directions and both have the same results. It just depends on how you want to go with it. So you can either write, and if you like to write with pen and paper or write on your computer, you can do some journaling and write about your past. Pick a past experience, a particularly traumatic one that fucked you up. Talk about what happened and go through it and write about it in detail from beginning to end. Don't leave anything out. Write it as if, now you're not going to share this, not if you don't want to. I suggest not sharing it, but you can do what you want. Write it as if somebody else is going to read it. Write it as if you're going to get it published for a book or a movie. So when you're writing in that fashion, you're writing for someone else, so you're describing things. You're not leaving stuff out. When we're just thinking thoughts, we often leave stuff out, skip over things because we think so fast, we process so fast, we know what we mean because we are ourselves. We're very familiar with our own thought process, but other people may not be. So really get into it. Describe the smells, the sounds, the sights, all the senses that you can remember from that experience. Describe everything that you can, so when you go back over it, you really have the full picture as accurately as you can. Oftentimes with this process, we will include not just the facts and the history, but our twist on it. So you may not just simply write about the divorce and the betrayal and the breakup, but you may add your emotional response in there. That's fine. But don't leave anything out. And if you're going to describe your pain, describe it accurately and fully. So you make the reader cry. Whoever's reading that is going to be like, damn. But you don't have to write it. If you don't want to write, you can do this on video. You got a cell phone. You don't have to create a YouTube channel. You don't have to show these videos to anybody. You can delete the videos. So there's no record. But the process is the same. So you can make the video, set up your little phone, and just start talking. Tell the story. Tell it like you've told it, but tell it in detail. Let yourself ramble on for 15, 20 minutes, whatever you have to do, and tell that full story. You may have watched some of my videos on here where I just tell a story of my life. Do something very similar. Tell the story of what happened. Now that's just your first draft. So after you've written the story or made your video, what I want you to do is go back and watch it. Now the first time you watch it, you're watching it to edit. It's your story. It happened to you. You wrote it or just got done making the video about it. And you're simply looking for ways to make the story better. So if you notice in the beginning you could have spent more time describing your father, then go back and make the video again. Make a note of that and describe father more. And then in the next video, spend another minute, another 60 seconds, another 2 minutes describing your father. Go through it. And maybe you might find a portion of the video, well, I made a tangent here. Right in that part when my wife left me at the altar, I started talking about this other topic for some reason. So on the next draft, let's exclude that because that's not relevant. It doesn't matter. I'm not sure why I even went off on that. Notice, so that's the first draft, and go through the whole video or the whole document that you just wrote and do some editing. This is what an editor would do. You know, correct your spelling if you have to when you write it. You know, if you have a good program, it'll kind of do that for you as you move along. But we're not going to show this to anybody, so structure and commas and spelling aren't as important. You want to make sure that it really reads well, or that the next time you make your video, the second version is better than the first. So remember, the first part of this, we're doing this for someone else, but we're not going to share it. We're making the video or writing the document as if someone else is going to be seeing it. And there's a point to that, which I'll get to in a minute. On that second draft, when you've gone and edited your document, you've made it better. Maybe you've taken out a paragraph. Maybe you've shortened it down. Maybe you've made it longer and added a section in. Oh yeah, God, how could I forget that? And you go in and you add in some necessary details. Make it good. And then now we're gonna go back and read it again, or you're going to look at that video again. You're looking at the edited version now. But when we look at this edited version, this is your presentable version. You're gonna go in, and you can even take a break. You can go back to this after an hour to get a new mindset. Go have some food, whatever. Go do some push-ups, and then come back to it. And when you come back to it and you're looking at that second edited version of your document or of the video, and you're about to hit play, look at it as if you're a different person. Look at it with an objective eye, a detached eye, skeptically. Ask yourself, who is this? What the fuck is this? Not in a negative way, like fuck this motherfucker, but you know, like you don't know who this is, and you don't know what you're about to hear. Obviously, it's a little difficult because you know that's you and you know this story, but you can do this. Look at your own words from an objective ear, an objective eye. This is one of the reasons why I think video works on the second draft a little better than the writing. Because when you watch yourself, you can watch yourself tell a story as if that's a different person. It's a little easier to detach. So we want that detachment. And this, all you're doing is listening. You're not trying to edit. You're not the storyteller, you're the listener now. This is who the story was meant for. Stories are meant to be told, so now you're the receiver of this information. And you want to go through skeptically the whole time, wondering, is that true? Is that possible? Questioning, like when other people tell you stuff and you're like, well, that don't make no sense. Wait. We can move on, but tell me how this works out, because that doesn't sound right. You know, we do this when we're listening to other people's stories, at least I do. Do this to yourself. Get through the whole video or the whole draft and sit and think for a second about what you just heard, what you just read. Think about it like you just read a novel or a book or just watched a movie. When you're coming out of a movie and you just got done seeing, you know, Fast and Furious 22 or 23, I don't even know what one they're on now, and you're thinking about what you just saw. This is where it's so valuable. It has blown my mind. I've had realizations about myself and about my past and understood events that I never quite understood before through this process on that second draft with that detached mindset, listening to myself or rereading what I just wrote. You can finally get past the divorce. You can finally get over the death that you never understood, that's been haunting you. Finally get past some of this trauma from your past. It's just a little trick that I was taught. I didn't invent this, and it works for me. And it's largely why you see me making these videos. I don't make them for you. I'm not building a brand. I do life coaching, and I can help you. But I make these videos for myself. I suggest you start getting on this if you're looking for a way to finally understand and to move on. It's food for thought. Thanks for watching.